This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
Very warm welcome to you. Today on Point, we have two important discussions. The first on point will be about how India has decided not to allow a single drop of water to go to Pakistan after the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. Next, with Pakistan suspending the Simla Agreement signed in 1972, can India push back the LOC? Now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Amit Shah's big beat decision on Indus Water Treaty to be implemented in 3 stages will Pakistan understand the important message that India is sending. Not a single drop of water will go to them. JNK CM Omar Abdullah calls Indus Water Treaty most unfair to people of Jammu and Kashmir. Home Minister dials CMs of all states, asked them to send back Pakistani citizens as soon as possible. Police raids terror sympathizers in South Kashmir, houses of terror suspects being searched. AIMIM clinches Hyderabad local body MLC elections. SC warns Rahul Gandhi over Savarkar remarks, stays defamation case. In tussle with Stalin government, another blow for the governor Ravi. Just 1/3 delegates turn up for VC meet. Now the big decision taken by the government of India, hitting back after the Pahalgam attack. India will ensure not a single drop of water will go to Pakistan. This was a big decision at a high-powered meeting on the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. The meeting was attended by Home Minister Amit Shah, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, Water Resource Minister C.R. Patil. Patil announced that the decision regarding the suspension of the Water Treaty, and he said it will be implemented in 3 phases: immediate, mid-term and long-term. Arrangements will be made to ensure that the water flow to Pakistan will be reduced. Now, before I get into other details, let me tell you how important this basin is for Pakistan. It's critical to Pakistan's economy, with agriculture and related industries forming a significant portion of its GDP. Pakistan relies on Indus, Jhelum and Chenab for approximately 80% of its irrigated agriculture. This contributes 21% to its GDP and supports 45% of its workforce. The suspension could halt the flow of 39 billion cubic meters of water annually from India to Pakistan, threatening water availability for irrigation. A disruption in water supply could lead to sharp economic downturn. And in this meeting, what has been decided? 1, the capacity of the dams will be increased. More so, it will allow the water to be used for producing electricity for the Indian states. Now let me give you some more detail. The top priority is construction of series of hydroelectric projects, including 540 megawatt Kwar, 1000 megawatt Pakuldul, 624 megawatt Kiru, 390 megawatt Kirthai and 930 megawatt Kirthai 2. This water will generate electricity to the tune of 10,000 million units to the Jammu Kashmir. Other projects which were stalled because of this treaty: Tulbul, Bagliar, Kishan Ganga, Ratel, Uri, Lower Karnal, they will be built now. Most of these projects were stalled. Even today, J&K Assembly discussed this issue. They said this Indus Water Treaty is biased towards Pakistan. Now on this, let me straight away introduce my guests. I'm joined by Major General P.K. Chakrabarti, retired Deputy Director General, Perspective Planning Directorate and Additional Director General, Artillery. Major General S.B.S. Thana, author, former DG Infantry. Rami Niranjan Desai, Distinguished Fellow, India Foundation. Thank you all of you for joining me. Let me straight away go to Rami first. Rami, just break it down, this decision. Immediate, mid-term and long-term decision on an issue which Pakistan said yesterday will be treated like an act of war.
Kartikeya, good evening. I think, we've been hearing a lot about the IWT ever since it was mentioned by the government with Pakistan's reaction. The IWT was once hailed as a very rare symbol, even if so ambitious, of cooperation in a very tense bilateral relationship. Now, this withdrawal really redefines India's tolerance for cross-border terrorism henceforth. I think action like this was going to come. I think they knew, or they at least should have known that it was going to come, because it's been going on for a really long time. Post the 2016 Uri attack, Kartikeya, the IWT actually was just functioning on a very formal basis, but with these sort of unforeseen changes, this sort of unprecedented attack, I think the immediate aftermath of this is the fact that the days of business as usual for diplomacy are over between the two countries. I think this is for the world to understand. Post the 2016 Uri attack, this was, there was a legal basis for reassessing treaty obligations. No treaty is final, irrespective of changing circumstances. And it was when the invocation of Article 12, Section 3 was brought up by India, and this was last year, saying that, we need to relook at the treaty. So I don't know what Pakistan was expecting, after this sort of an attack. I don't know. What did they think that our reaction was going to be? If they thought there was going to be any less than this, then I believe that they were sadly mistaken. Now, let me say this, Kartikeya, the immediate impact of this is going to be shock across the border. And I think all those people within our country as well who were questioning that what does this treaty mean? It's going to take a long time for this treaty to come into action. Infrastructure projects, dams will have to be made. You can't ever stop water. I think what has been made clear by the new notification is that the government's plan is precise, it's concise, and it is very well planned out. But final point, Kartikeya,
I'll come to you. Rami, just hold on. Let me read this out. Go to other guests. I'll come back to you. This is very important. This report was published in Dawn. And then I'll go to General Chakrabarti. Sir, and let me quote this report. For Pakistan, the impact of India's disruption, if manifested, could be far-reaching. Pakistan's irrigation system is one of the largest in the world, and it depends almost entirely on the predictable timing of flows from the western rivers. Farmers plan their sowing around those flows. Canal schedules are designed based on the assumption that have held for decades. If that rhythm is even slightly disrupted, the water system will begin to fray. The most immediate risk is to the predictability. Even if the total volume of water coming into Pakistan does not change immediately, small changes in when the water arrives can cause real problems. A late season delay during the wheat planting cycle or an unexpected dip in flow during the dry winter month can mean missed sowing window, lower yield, higher cost. Thus, the Indus Delta, which is already shrinking due to reduced freshwater outflows, will face greater uncertainty. And adding to it, a third of Pakistan electricity comes from hydro power generated from water flowing through Tarbela, Mangla and other reservoirs. If upstream flows are reduced or poorly timed, it could cut into generation capacity. Sir, your opening comments.
Thank you very much, Kartikeya, and I thank Madam also for really highlighting. Having done a base means capability analysis of Pakistan, I'll be very composed. Undoubtedly, water is a very, very important aspect as regards Pakistan, and the Indus Water Treaty, which Uttam Kumar Sinha today has written, the Times of India has written a book also, how it was signed in 1916. Pakistan went laughing all the way because, it got all the advantages. Now, we gave them these advantages, and there's no doubt about it. Once you stop water, definitely the effects are going to be pronounced as it has come out in the dawn, undoubtedly. And possibly the only other entry is the Kabul River, which is coming from Afghanistan. I studied the whole thing now, having seen the Indus actually enter Pakistan. I mean, say with my own eyes, and followed it right from, being in Ladakh, so I've been following the river, and also seeing the other two rivers, I mean to say the Jhelum and the Chenab. Chenab, it will be a little difficult for us, to control, as I see right now. But the other two, I too totally agree with you. We have been thinking about it, if I recollect, from 2016, as I remember, because it was then that many of us sounded that we must, possibly not abrogate the Indus Water Treaty. And I agree with you that the impact is going to be, Pakistan still remains basically.
Question to you, because day before yesterday, when you came to my show, you said all options, kinetic or non-kinetic, should be pursued very, very, very aggressively against Pakistan.
So, if I may be allowed to say, this policy of Indus Water Treaty is going to take a little time. I have seen these rivers. I must be honest with you. But you cannot leave the military out. You see, I mean, I've stressed on the military options. This water treaty is not going to be so fast. It's not that you close the tap and tomorrow water stops. And definitely we are lucky the dry season is coming. I agree with you. The dry season is coming. So in the dry season, the quicker we can work. We work very fast. I've been to these projects myself. Particularly, you named some of them, Kishanganga and all, where I had to go because there were landslides. So I would put it that what you call, we have to be very, very fast on it. But water by itself these projects are not going to be done at the speed at which, shall we say, military operations are done. I just put it very clearly. And this is not my saying. This is the saying from all over the world, I'll put it. So while we are doing this, it's excellent. Diplomatic options. Everybody is standing with us, including Madam, who is very, very assertive, and she's standing with us. So why not go in for a military option? I mean to say that with Indus Water Treaty also taking it. And if we go in it, we can, there are options against these canals. I've been operating in all these areas, so I can say very, very confidently that as far as water is concerned, it's important.
Okay.
It's a given thing, but it'll take time. It will not going to happen tomorrow.
Okay, now let me read. Absolutely. Point taken, sir. It's going to take time, but the fact is the government has taken a decision in which a lot of deterring was taking place. It really makes me happy. It really makes me happy that these tough calls are being taken, whether military option, non-military option, but at least calls are being taken, calls are being seen taken, and public is being informed. There's an opinion about it. There is some sense of unity of thought about it. Let me read another important description in this report, what Indus Water Treaty suspension means for Pakistan. It means a lot, It means a lot to them. The western rivers are not just shared rivers, they are Pakistan's primary source of water. In the long run, there may be reforms or alternatives, but in the here and now, there is no substitute. These rivers sustain lives, livelihoods, and landscapes across country. Pakistan can simply not afford to let it become collateral in a political fight. Thus, the flow must continue not out of goodwill, but because of the consequence of stopping them are too great for either country to bear. In the sense, what India is about to do, or the intention it has demonstrated, Rami, it has serious consequences for Pakistan. Serious consequences.
Absolutely, Kartikeya, and I think Sir, who spoke before me, really put it in a really, clear fashion for us that this is going to take time, and this is not going to be an easy you'll have to have a lot of projects, you'll have to have a lot of investment. This is going to take time. However, the messaging counts. In if you look at it in the space that we are in now, it gives India the negotiation space
That's a good. Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Because last time you said that, I cut you short, so that is why, I was
Karthikeya,
waiting.
I think that was my sole point. What I was coming to last time is that it really gives us the space to negotiate, and I think that is really important. We have something to leverage now. And I think the messaging of this is very clear, not just to the people within who are doubting what is going to happen with this, but also to the world that, there is some sort of limitation to how much we can tolerate.
Okay, General Asthana, sir, your opening comments?
When a determined country decides to act and a country like Pakistan crosses the red line, then we have to adopt all levers of power, all elements of national power. Now, we being the middle riparian, as far as these rivers are concerned, water is a resource which is important, and it can also be strategized as a weapon. If they can have strategic assets as terrorists, there is no reason why India cannot use water as a weapon. So, notwithstanding that, there is a genuine concern and a genuine requirement of water in India. India wanted to negotiate this treaty, renegotiate this treaty again. Their provisions exist, which was mentioned by the other speaker earlier. And therefore, this was on the card. The only thing is that this terror attack has perhaps expedited it. Now, many speakers have been saying that, yes, I appreciate that the infrastructure is required to cut down the water, which will take time, certainly. But the intent and the announcements, they need not wait. And I think some of them are being made now, and some more can be made in pipeline. So long we make the announcements and make it very clear that we are going to utilize this water, and whether it is dams, electricity projects, or linking projects, we can get the water of these rivers into the rivers which are getting deep into India. So those water linking projects can also be announced. Even the announcement by itself is a big shock to Pakistan for the reasons which you just brought out in your commentary as to how important the water is for Pakistan. That is one part of it. But there are other implications. The investment in agriculture is dependent on the availability of water. Now, if the water is under question, the investments can also go haywire. The Pakistan, the stock market has crashed, and in any case, they were not getting hardly getting any investments. But then the problem is that with this, the disgruntlement is going to increase. Similarly, as you rightly mentioned, 45% of job is in agriculture sector. With this, all those people who are in agriculture sector will find a grave danger to their jobs, and therefore the disgruntlement. And now let me say that where does it fit in the overall strategy? See, the overall strategy is very clear. As far as we are concerned, the terror attacks are being launched by Pakistan military and their leadership. So therefore, we have to attack Pakistan military and leadership by all possible means. It need not be only military means. So therefore, in that context, making the population angry and making them convinced that it is because of the nonsense which their military is creating, they are getting into one problem after another, right from economics to their livelihood to water. And therefore, earlier they denounced the power of their military, better it is for them. Now, this is a clear-cut message from us to people of Pakistan. We have no problems with people of Pakistan. But unfortunately, there are terrorists there and there are sponsors there in the terms, and there it is a radicalized army. where chief can give hate speeches. If that be so, certainly all bets are off, and therefore all possible actions will be taken to ensure that Pakistan military is shown the right path.
Okay.
Back to you.
Okay. Rami, there's another very interesting thing. You know, now the politicians in Jammu and Kashmir are saying that this treaty is unfair. These voices were not there. Now, you know, these data is being accounted for. Kiru, Pakal, Kirthai 2, 10,000 million units to J&K electricity inventory, 3,000 megawatt and add up to 10,000 million units to J&K electricity. I mean to say, if this data was available, shouldn't this have been done earlier?
I think, Karthikeya, things take time, you know, they have to evolve. Now, like you're saying, now suddenly people are, you know, waking up and, you know, adding to this. But I think, you know, such big decisions cannot be taken hastily. And I think it takes some amount of, politicking, some amount of creating a foundation for it, for this to happen. Like I said earlier on, that there has been a rethinking on this for the past few years. And, the gentleman just before me made a pertinent point that, we have not, we don't have any anger towards the people of Pakistan. But, here's the thing. The way I look at it is, it's not my job, my government's job to look after the welfare of the people of Pakistan. I think it is the government of Pakistan that needs to think of what the repercussions on its people is going to be. And I think they have been terribly irresponsible when they knew that this might happen, that this was coming, and that India has the potential to put a plan like this through. I think that is what should have been primary for them. But clearly, neither are their people, neither is any sort of bilateral relation, neither is any sort of historical agreements of any importance to them. So I think everybody needs to calm down, wait and watch. These things are going to take time. Even the implementation of this agreement, this notification is going to take time. Sure it is. But I think it's a strong step towards the right direction, and I think it was high time coming.
Before I let go of my panel, because there's another debate, today another very important thing happened, but we'll discuss it later because this decision has overtaken. Today, the houses of the terrorists were brought down. And it was like a different strategy which was being seen in Kashmir Valley. But General Chakravarti, to you, because I would like to keep on this because this decision has come and it has overtaken other things. You were telling me that you have seen the river flowing into Pakistan. So, but even, is it correct when we say even sharing of data, lack of sharing of data, hydrological data of extreme floods, the way canals, the data required for canals would affect them? Is that correct?
Oh, definitely, undoubtedly. See, despite all the disputes we have had so far, the Indus Water Treaty meetings kept on going. And it is for the first time, though we were, as I said, right, it's almost 8 years or 9 years since we have been thinking of what you call abrogating the Indus Water Treaty. And we have been sharing the data. There have been conferences, regular conferences, which have been taking place between India and Pakistan. Their delegations have been coming. And as you know, the treaty was signed in Karachi. And as a matter of fact, Jawaharlal Nehru himself was somebody who was very keen that the treaty be signed. So there have been regular meetings, a lot of sharing of data. I've been to the headworks, at least at Husainewala and many other headworks. There is a lot of sharing. After all, water can't just flow. You require a lot of, it's a technical thing happening. Even when a bus goes from one end to the other end, you have the data to be shared. There's no doubt. All that would need a little bit of coordination. We can't, just say, okay, now, no. It is not a cowboy action, I would put it. It has to be a technical action, and technical actions need a little bit of coordination, and so that it is done in the interest of our country. That's what I would say.
Sthana, today, as I said, two things happened. There were explosions that took place of two terrorists. This is something which I have noticed, for the first time in the valley. Do you think this is going to work like a prop-led deterrence? That the violence is going to walk back home?
See, when we look at the actions, proactive actions, both sides of the border or both sides of the line of control, we have been talking a lot about the actions on the other side of line of control and the options and the
General,
benefit and non
sir,
options.
this is in context of the Bijbehara and Tral. These are the houses of the two terrorists involved.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I'm coming
Sir.
to that. So therefore, we need to do a lot inside. Now, to deter the supporters, to deter the terrorists, to deter the sleeper cells, some actions have to be taken and some very stern actions have to be taken. So the burning of houses is a message to everyone who thought that he can go to Pakistan, get recruited in LAT, get all the in India, which was like a shall I say well-paying job. Now that myth has to be broken, and that is why this action has been taken. I would welcome more actions like this to come. We need to take these supporters, the overground workers, and the sleeper cells also as gravely as the terrorists are and the act of the terrorists are, because without their support, this terror action was not possible. Even if the terrorists are hiding today, there is no doubt that somebody would be helping them, somebody would be feeding them, somebody would be giving them information as to where they are being searched. So therefore, all these people need to be deterred, and once caught, they should be convicted.
Okay.
Earlier, I think we have been slightly lax in that, because a large number of people whom we have caught as overground workers when we operated there did find some excuse from the judiciary side as well as from the political side, and were able to get back without unscathed. So
Okay.
I think now it's time that we have to be a little serious about it.
Absolutely.
And fight the battle inside as well.
Because in these areas, human rights were weaponized against the security forces. So there was no sympathy for the men in olives. There was all the sympathy for the people who were trying to prevent men in olives. Your comments on this, General Chakrabarti? And secondly, do you believe that ineffective or sort of a loose area domination exercise has become an issue in J&K theatre?
First of all, my comments on these houses which have been got down at Tral and Bridgebera. Having been to these places and having seen the overground workers, actually, I totally agree with General Saxena. General Astana has brought out very well that these issues, we often left it to the judiciary and we left it to the police, if I may put it. I still remember with one or two cases, and then they became cases which, got lost in the labyrinths of the judicial system which we have. So therefore, this has been a very, very prompt and immediate action. This is number one. And the second issue which you have just brought out is, as far as we are concerned, we are now today looking at what we call seeing that we don't allow people to get away when they are doing some things in connection with terrorism. That's all I'll say. If you want further comments on it, on the second question, I can give it, I would say. But that would suffice.
Rami, your comments?
Kartikeya, I think this is a very welcome move, because this is not just about terrorism, but this is, this particular incident that has happened, but it is also about the visuals that are going to go out, which are going to act as deterrents to anybody who has any sort of malice towards the borders of our country. We discussed this, endlessly when we were talking about the northeastern borders, Kartikeya, last year. We said it is, we agreed upon the fact that it is a fact that, none of this sort of cross-border terrorism that you have, insurgency that you have, can exist without local support, some amount of logistics, sleeper cells. And it's not as if any of these people have just come in that morning and done what they have. They were probably there planning, plotting, and, practicing for what was to come. So obviously there was a certain amount of support, and that support needs to be eliminated once and for all. We need to change our lens from looking at a humanitarian lens towards the terrorists towards the victims. And I think this kind of messaging, it's not just bulldozing of houses, but actual bombing, actual burning of houses, that is going to give out the right message. And Karthike, we must remember we live in the age of visuals. These visuals are going to be far more reaching than any sort of technicalities that are being put in place behind the scenes.
Thank you all of you for participating in this debate, which was on not a single drop of water to Pakistan, and our decision to go back to the houses of these sympathizers and sending a strong message. But there's another issue, because in a knee-jerk response, Pakistan has suspended the 1972 Simla Agreement, reacting to the stern measure taken by India over the terrorist attack. So what exactly is Simla Agreement, and how Simla Agreement was shaped? In the photographs you will see Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Indira Gandhi. These are the photographs of 1972. Height of the Indian power. Even Benazir Bhutto came with Zulfikar. India had dismembered Pakistan, created Bangladesh. So what is Simla Agreement? It's a peace treaty signed between India and Pakistan after 71 war that led to the creation of Bangladesh. Signed in July 1972, the agreement was aimed at restoring peace and normalizing ties between India and Pakistan. The treaty was inked by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and Pakistani President Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. It was signed in Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Simla. It sets the tone for the post-war reconciliation and guidelines for future interaction. Pakistan has suspended it. What did this agreement do? Peaceful settlement of disputes. Both nations pledged to resolve all disputes, including Kashmir issue, bilaterally without third-party intervention. The two countries agreed to respect each other's territorial integrity, political independence, and non-interference in internal affairs. The ceasefire line in Jammu and Kashmir was redesignated as the line of control, what we know today, by this agreement. Both sides committed not to unilaterally alter the LOC. But Pakistan continued to defy it. The agreement called for steps to restore diplomatic, economic and cultural relationship. And it led to release of prisoners of war. India agreed to release over 93,000 Pakistani POWs, one of the largest post-war prisoner release in history. India returned over 13,000 square kilometers of land captured during the war. So how will the suspension of the 54-year-old pact impact Pakistan? With the suspension, the validity of LOC comes into question. Now, India can take steps to deem it fit to alter LOC. The agreement said India and Pakistan would resolve their difference peacefully. Now, India can take military options without violating any treaty. India can now use the leverage it has over major powers including US, Israel, West Asian countries to isolate Pakistan. Even before India's stern measures, Pakistan had shown little respect for the agreement. 5 times Pakistan violated Simla Agreement. 1984, Pakistan tried to take control of Siachen Glacier. 1980s, Hizbul Mujahideen, Lashkar-e-Toiba in 1990s, sending terrorists all across the border. Pakistan did it. 1999, Kargil happened. We were close to war. 2008, hundreds of civilians died in Mumbai. Number of attacks took place. Chitti Singhpura, Kashmir was internationalized repeatedly. And now let me play out a bite of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and then I'll go back to my guest, how Pakistan position it has taken on 1972 will put them in a serious disadvantageous position.
We don't have agreements or discussions with other countries on the basis of gain and loss. And I think that would be a very narrow-minded and short-sighted way of looking at any governmental action. The question before us is that is it in the interest of India and Pakistan to work in cooperation, or is it in their interest to have continuous confrontation? in their short-term interest as well as the long-term interest. Now, the Simla Agreement is a beginning. I won't call it more than that, but a beginning is also very important considering what has gone before it. We don't have agreements or discussions.
I'm joined by Ambassador Veena Sikri, former Indian diplomat, Rami Niranjan Desai, Distinguished Fellow India Foundation continues to be with me, General Asthana continues to be with me. Straight away to Ambassador Sikri. Madam, suspension of Simla Agreement, how will it affect Pakistan? What does it mean for Indians? What does it mean for our military, defense?
Well, let me say first and foremost that the Simla Agreement is an imperfect agreement, a totally imperfect agreement. And it was violated where the ink had hardly dried on the agreement when it was violated by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, because the bilateral clause, the clause about bilateralism, has been used very strongly by India to prevent any third party intervention in the settlement or discussions on Kashmir. And this is fine. This is one of the issues that I think India has used to the maximum. But the issue of bilateralism, of not discussing Kashmir internationally, has been observed by India, but not by Pakistan. They have gone full steam ahead all these decades, while we have, refrained from discussing the Kashmir issue internationally. We have said we are only going to solve it bilaterally. But Pakistan has, from day one, absolutely gone hammer and tongs and continued its discussions with international community to create a lot of ill will against India, to create the feeling that India is the one who is at fault in Jammu and Kashmir, and that the Pakistanis must be allowed to have some kind of intervention in Jammu and Kashmir. If you want to know, actually, I was in Shimla in 1972 when this agreement was signed. And so I'm fully aware of the ways and the manner in which this agreement was actually not being signed at all. But the way in which it was, a question of giving up the territory and keeping the 93,000 prisoners. The 93,000 prisoners was a very, very bad choice. Because who is going to look after 93,000 prisoners? Anybody has a cough or a cold, you go to the Red Cross claiming poor treatment by the Indian side, claiming inadequate food, claiming inadequate shelter, etc., etc., etc. And in the end, we had to send back those prisoners. So having taken the decision to keep the prisoners and give back the land, it was a very bad choice. We then, had to give back the prisoners as well. And all the senior generals of the Pakistan army, who were supposed to be tried when they went back, they were given back to Pakistan and they were supposed to be tried for genocide, for the genocidal attack on the Bangladeshis. They were never tried. They got away scot-free. So I think all these years, decades, we have lived with an agreement that is an inadequate agreement. It should never have been signed, and we have made the best of it only from the point of view of bilateralism. And if now the Pakistan government decides to keep it in abeyance, well, it means that the LOC is now open once again. The same LOC on which we held all that territory, but gave back to Pakistan. Now you see, you're back there to square one. So I think that and as far as the bilateral factor is concerned, India has benefited, yes, from that, because we've not allowed anybody to come in. But Pakistan has violated it absolutely shamelessly, without any,
Okay, before I go to Rami and General Asthana, you said you were there. Very quickly, why did we sign it? I mean, if it was unfair, not to India's advantage, why did we sign it? Why did we give so much of land away?
Let me tell you, it was not going to be signed. It was not going to be signed. The talks had completely broken down. And in fact, all the leaders had left. DP Dhar was in hospital. He was not well right from the first day. TN Kaul, the foreign secretary, had left. He had left Shimla because it was known that the talks had completely broken down. And there was going to be no agreement, no outcome at all. But Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had other plans. He hosted a return banquet that same evening. And in the course of that banquet, we were all sitting way down the table. We were all on our main dish and they had already finished their coffee. And suddenly they decided, the two leaders among themselves, let's have another round of talks. At that time, there were only two of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's aides there at the moment, who were there in those talks late at night. These were Mr. P.N. Dhar and Mr. P.N. Haksar. They were the only ones who were there. There was nobody else in those talks. And a lot of these talks were private. And I can tell you that Bhutto actually convinced Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to sign the agreement and said that, I will, assure you that I will criticize you in Pakistan, but globally I won't criticize you. And we were wanting to get the LOC as the border. Well, he said, oh, I'll go back. I can't do it now, but I'll go back and I'll assure you I'll do it, etc. Of course, he didn't do anything of the kind. And the LOC has remained contentious since then. And the Pakistanis, let me tell you that the Pakistani delegation knew what they were after. They knew what they were after. I was at that summit. I was there in my capacity as the Ministry of External Affairs appointed liaison officer with Benazir Bhutto. We spent 5 days together at that time. And the next morning, because at about midnight, we all left, 11:30, something, 12, we left. And the next morning, Benazir tells me that, we knew something was going to happen. And we had decided that if we get what we want, हम कहेंगे लड़का हुआ है. So बता रही थी कि 12:30-1 बजे, everybody in the house, it was Himachal Bhavan where this was time, everybody was running around saying लड़का हुआ है, लड़का हुआ है, लड़का हुआ है. They were so delighted with this Simla Agreement at that time. And for us, many of us have not been happy with it since that date. I can tell you. So today, if the Pakistan government is saying that they are going to put it in abeyance, well, so be it. The situation is wide open. We've said we're going to chase the terrorists down to their last number. That's our Prime Minister's statement yesterday at Madhubani in Bihar. And I think that we have to do that.
Madam Sikri, I think we really need another 1 hour with you solo on this subject. I don't want to make it into a wasted opportunity. It requires a solo session with you exactly on the 5 days you spent, what you did, what they did. It's mind-blowing. I have never heard of it. The stuff which I'm hearing from you. Rami, your opening comments.
Well, what can I say after Ambassador Sikri has spoken? She has such an insider's view. But, there are a couple of ways that we can look at this. We can look at this from a strategic point of view, what the strategic implications could be. We can look at it from a security standpoint. We can look at it from a political standpoint. It need not be said that, the agreement has been violated from day one, that it was a faulty agreement to begin with. But if I was to start with the security standpoint, Karthikeya, withdrawing from the Simla Agreement would eliminate a critical restraint on military escalation along the LOC. India could interpret the withdrawal as a license to intensify cross-border operations, even surgical strikes or air raids, which was similar to Balakot that we had seen. It may even justify incursions into Gilgit and Baltistan, for all you know, or seek to undermine Pakistan's hold over Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So, I think this has a lot of implications. I think this is, this can go either way. But if you look at it politically, the withdrawal may also offer some amount of short-term gains for Pakistan's ruling elite, because this gives them the moment to sort of work on the populist gesture to appease hardliners, consolidate nationalist sentiments, and possibly divert attention from the kind of massive economic instability that is going on there. The fact that they can sponsor attacks like this when they have such internal problems itself is surprising. But this would possibly give them that leverage to divert it, and we know that they do this very often. But this symbolic move could risk substantial long-term blowbacks as well. It could have that as well, including possible Indian retaliation in multilateral forums. But here's the thing, Karthikeya, I think we need to look at this from all points of view, because this might also, we have to question ourselves as to who might enter this space if this agreement was to go. Would Pakistan bring in China? Would there be international interventions? Would this give some sort of leverage for third parties to interfere in what should be only, what should only be something that India should be looking at from its a particular standpoint? So I think there are many ways to look at this, and we need to dig deeper and talk about this deeper.
Okay. General Asthana, your opening comments, a lot of Indians, who have grown up in the stories of 1971, the whaler of the Indian military who fought the war. One thing they can't come to terms with is, even if you say, okay, 90,000 POWs, they were given back. Why was the territory surrendered? And how does this suspension impact India's military deployed all along LOC, sir?
Okay, you've hit the nail on the head. Firstly, this treaty or this agreement was highly skewed in favor of Pakistan. Certainly, military was not happy. Returning of these prisoners, of course, that's one part of it. But exchanging, giving back 13,000 kilometers and getting back only 83 kilometers, it doesn't make any kind of sense. Or any kind of bargain for any national leader. So I don't think it was taken very kindly. But notwithstanding that, the fact is Pakistanis in their knee-jerk reaction to indicate to their people that they have also done something, they did a step which perhaps they did not think through. I think they have done a big favor to us. We have been saying a number of times, most of our leaders have been saying that we must get POK back. Now, if this treaty is not there, I think our job becomes much easier because there is no LOC as far as we are concerned. And if there is no LOC, then POK is part of India as per the instrument of accession. So is Gilgit-Baltistan and so is Saxkham Valley. So therefore, as far as we are concerned, I think we just need to boost
General Asthana, then what becomes of LOC? Does it become a ceasefire line, sir? Well, what does it become?
No, it doesn't become anything because ceasefire line was superseded by this agreement.
Okay.
Same is the case with, so therefore, now once this agreement is gone, then nothing, then it's free for all as far as we are concerned. And that goes to our advantage. This was certainly after ceasefire line, and this ratified ceasefire line in some manner. But now, when you have the last agreement being scrapped, then I don't think the ceasefire line should hold good. And therefore, it suits us. We have the seats for POK people in our parliament, in our J&K assembly. That is our area as per the instrument of accession, which is a legal document, and there is no other legal document on this subject. So therefore, we have to launch an operation, which we should at some point of time. The conditions have to be created. Now, I've been speaking, there are a lot of videos of mine on this as to what all needs to be done. I think the international opinion is in our favor, number one. What needs to be done is the disgruntlement of people of POK has to be synergized. And unfortunately, there is no leadership to synergize that as it was in case of 1971 under Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. So we need a Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in POK who can say that enough is enough. I want to go back and see and reap the fruits of development in Kashmir and in my own land. And that is, if we can galvanize that, I think that would perhaps give us so we have to create conditions. And thereafter, with the help of a military action, I think this is within the realms of possibility. And this abrogation has, in all probabilities, facilitated our job.
Okay. Ambassador Sikri, more than the United States of America, today China is more invested in Pakistan. They have already ceded Saxkham Valley area to them. It's not only about Aksai Chin, it's the road which runs from the areas of Pakistan occupied Kashmir and connects to the Gwadar port. How does India factor that, the interest of China? Because I'm sure that this cannot be ignored, that presence cannot be ignored, that interest cannot be ignored.
Well, certainly, if you look at the 1994 Parliament resolution, which was Indian Parliament resolution, which was unanimously adopted, it called for the return of all areas of POK and of the Union Territory, what is today Union Territory of Ladakh, to India. That means Shaksgam Valley and also the other areas which which China has occupied. So this is, of course, a very, very comprehensive resolution, the 1994 resolution. And of course, if the LOC is no longer exists, and everything is open. But of course, it also brings in the possibility of a direct military confrontation. And it also brings in the question that even the kind of daily confrontation, like even 2 days ago or yesterday, there was again an infiltration attempt across the LOC, and there was a retaliation from the Indian side. Now, in these retaliations, if there's any territory exchange, then it remains the other way. Then there's no LOC to go back to say that, okay, now we go back to the LOC and give the land back, etc., even if it is a few square yards or 1,000 square yards of territory. So it becomes a very, very volatile situation at the border, and certainly this is not something that one has to deal with it very, very carefully. Military confrontation certainly is there, and military confrontation seems to be what everybody is thinking is going to be the next step. I've been reading all the commentaries in the Indian media. So this is a very worrisome situation. I don't think one can be easy in just taking on the possibility of military confrontation and the death and destruction that can cause. And I think also very clearly that the world community, I don't think, is going to accept anything like putting in abeyance the Simla Agreement. The Indus Water Treaty is something else.
Are you saying that there's going to be a pressure on India and Pakistan to hold this treaty, madam?
No, it's going to be, the pressure right now is on Pakistan, not on India, because they are the ones who want to put it in abeyance. And they are quoting the wanting to put it in abeyance because they said that, we didn't talk about the Simla Agreement at all. When the CCS, when it met, it didn't talk about the Simla Agreement at all. It's Pakistan which has spoken about it. And in fact, the fact that we have, spoken about the IWT, the Indus Water Treaty. That's the reason that Pakistan has taken for this. Now, the Pakistan has said that all agreements between India and Pakistan will be put into abeyance. So, in that sense, they are also putting into abeyance the Indus Water Treaty, because that's one of the agreements between India and Pakistan. So, their statement, today you saw the Defense Minister of Pakistan giving a press conference, and where he announced, we were, helping the West when we were doing this, creating these Jaishankar and Lashkar-e-Taiba. We were helping the West, we were doing their dirty work. So he's seeking sympathy from the West, saying that these terrorist groups were created by us because we were doing the dirty work of the West. So this has become a huge pot boiler now. Everything is in the pot, everything is boiling. It's a very sensitive and serious situation. And I think that India should first and foremost, get the support of the global community for declaring Pakistan as a state sponsor of terror. That should be the first target for India. We have the sympathy of the global community for this terrorist attack, and we must go for it and get Pakistan declared a state sponsor of terror. Then, in the FATF, we must put Pakistan in the blacklist. Where does the money come for these terrorists? Where does the weapons come? They've been using M4 carbines, which America left behind in Afghanistan. So these are the ones who need to be very specific and look at the military solution. It seems to be inevitable, a kinetic solution to this situation. But when will it happen? And we have to be prepared for that as well.
Rami, before I close on the show, every military intervention or every hard intervention requires a political objective. What do you think that this time will be the political objective? Uri had an objective, the surgical strikes, Balakot had an objective. What is the objective this time, political objective?
Karthikeya, I think really enough is enough, and I think this time the people of India really, we've always shown restraint, whatever the government has been, has wanted, whatever they've done, we've always supported them, but the people of India generally have shown a lot of restraint towards any sort of offensive. But I think this time, everywhere I look, everybody I meet is saying it's high time to teach them a lesson. I think it's high time for them to learn a lesson that terrorism cannot exist in India. Now, I think the objective here is really going to be that, it's not that what the foundations we had previously are not going to be what we see our future as. So therefore, there is going to be a question of what the framework is going to be. That framework is going to change, and it's going to change drastically. But like I said earlier on, Karthikeya, what we really need to think about is what is going on here. Are there international, the international players, are they just supporting us, in a moment of crisis because they have to? Are they going to take it as far? Are they going to stand by us as far as we want to take it? Is China playing a larger role than we understand? We heard the Pakistani minister say, we've been doing the West's dirty work. How do we know that this is not China that is pushing them to throw the West under the bus? So I think we have to look at all of these factors. We have to see who our friends are and how much they are going to stand by us. While international support is important, I think it can't be entirely relied upon. And therefore, India has to decide whether it wants to go on its own, irrespective of what.
Thank you, Rani. I've really run short of time. Thank you all of you for joining us. Thank you for your deep insight, and a special thanks to Ambassador Veena Sikri for actually sharing that nugget ki ladka hua hai. I mean, say the details were mind blowing. Thank you all of you for watching On Point. I will be back next week at the same time. Good night.
News 9 Corporate Badminton Championships in collaboration with Pullela Gopichand Badminton Foundation is here for all of you to experience the passion and network. This is a great opportunity to experience your childhood memories and also be part of a corporate event which enhances sportsman's spirit in all of us. Wishing you all the best and hope to see you here.
Presenting sponsor, Srinidhi University, Kindle the Light Within. Venue partner, Pullela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad.
Oh my dear cool. ये एयर कंडीशनर नहीं, AI कंडीशनर है.
What, according to you, is buzzing in the world of marketing? What is the big buzz as far as health insurance marketing is concerned?
I think personalization is a very, very big buzz. The only problem is the personalization lasts like the 30-second ad film. It doesn't extend beyond that. If we have to insure the 140 crore citizens of ours, which is very, very important for us, it cannot be a catch-all proposition. And marketing teaches you that you have to come up with interesting proposition because everybody's reason to not buy health insurance is very different, right? So how do we use and leverage the power of personalization? You don't want to buy health insurance because you think you're young? Okay, here's a proposition for you.
What is to the nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
You have donned many hats: screenplay writer, director, producer. But who is Kiran Rao?
I am a speck and I am not even a blink in time. Your identity is always sort of defined by the men in your life.
The crux of this imbalance is the financial independence, that disparity in financial independence.
I think marriage needs redefinition. You